a land of promise and peril. The Republic of Texas in 1838. The year 1838 marked a pivotal moment in the volatile history of the Republic of Texas. Having secured its independence from Mexico just 2 years earlier, the fledgling nation was a land of contradictions, a place of vast promise and even greater peril. The fertile plains and rugged landscapes of Texas held the promise of prosperity for settlers. Yet those same lands were fraught with dangers that tested the resolve of even the most determined pioneers. The Republic's independence had come at a steep cost, leaving it with an underdeveloped infrastructure, a tenuous economy, and an ever-present threat of invasion from Mexico, which refused to recognize Texas as a sovereign nation. Adding to these challenges was the hostility of the region's indigenous tribes, who viewed the influx of settlers as an existential threat to their way of life. Among these tribes, the Comanche stood out as the most formidable and feared. The southern Great Plains were their dominion, and their mastery of horseback warfare was unmatched. For the Comanche, raiding was not merely a survival tactic, it was integral to their culture and identity. Their raids struck fear into the hearts of settlers and rival tribes alike, as they moved with unmatched speed and precision, leaving devastation in their wake. In this turbulent environment, the nascent Republic of Texas relied heavily on a diverse array of allies to defend its borders and secure its settlements. Among these allies were the Delaware Indians, whose journey from their ancestral homelands in the northeastern woodlands to the Texan frontier was a testament to their resilience and adaptability. Together with a young Texas Ranger named Jack Hayes, a group of Delaware warriors would undertake a fateful mission that embodied the complexities and contradictions of life on the frontier. The Delaware, a people in motion. The story of the Delaware, or Lenape, is one of resilience. In the face of relentless adversity, long before they arrived in Texas, the Delaware had been among the first indigenous peoples to encounter European settlers in the early 1600s. Their ancestral homelands stretched across present-day New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania, where they lived in close harmony with the land, cultivating crops, hunting game, and fishing in the region's rivers and streams. The Delaware's initial interactions with Europeans were marked by diplomacy and trade. However, the arrival of settlers brought devastating consequences. The spread of diseases to which the Delaware had no immunity, the loss of their lands through dubious treaties, and a series of wars that forced them to migrate westward. By the late 18th century, many Delaware had settled in the Ohio River Valley, only to face further displacement as American expansion continued unabated. The Delaware's move to Texas in the early 19th century was driven by necessity and opportunity. The Texan frontier, though perilous, offered a chance to rebuild their lives and establish alliances with other indigenous groups. They forged a particularly strong bond with the Comanche, who shared similar experiences of displacement. Together, these tribes navigated the shifting power dynamics of the region, forming alliances with settlers and the Republic of Texas government when it suited their interests. The Delaware's willingness to serve as scouts, guides, and warriors for Texan settlers was both a pragmatic choice and a reflection of their warrior ethos. They brought invaluable knowledge of the land and its inhabitants, making them indispensable allies in the struggle against the Comanche. Yet this alliance was fraught with irony and tension, as the Delaware's service to Texan settlers often placed them in opposition to other indigenous groups. A young ranger's baptism by fire. John Coffey, Jack Hayes, was a man uniquely suited to the challenges of the Texas frontier. Born in Tennessee in 1817, Hayes grew up in a family steeped in military tradition. His father had served under Andrew Jackson during the War of 1812, and young Jack was named after one of Jackson's trusted generals, John Coffey. This legacy of martial valor shaped Hayes from an early age, instilling in him a sense of duty and a readiness to confront adversity. When Hayes arrived in Texas in 1837, he was just 20 years old. Despite his youth, he quickly gained a reputation for his courage, resourcefulness, and sharp intellect. His introduction to Sam Houston, the charismatic leader of the Republic of Texas, set him on the path to joining the Texas Rangers, a paramilitary force tasked with defending the frontier against both Mexican incursions and indigenous raids. The Rangers were not a conventional military unit. They were a rough-and-tumble group of frontiersmen who relied on their wits, marksmanship, and an intimate knowledge of the land. For Hayes, joining the Rangers was both a calling and a necessity. The Comanche raids that terrorized settlers demanded a new kind of warfare, one that combined the guerrilla tactics of indigenous tribes with the firepower and resolve of Texan settlers. Hayes quickly proved his mettle. In this demanding environment, he possessed a natural charisma that endeared him to his comrades and earned him the respect of indigenous allies like the Delaware. His ability to adapt to the unpredictable and often brutal realities of frontier life would be tested to the limit during the events of 1838. A hunting expedition turns deadly. In the autumn of 1838, Hayes joined a group of 18 Delaware warriors on what was intended to be a peaceful hunting trip along the Pecos River. For both the Delaware and Hayes, the journey offered a rare opportunity to rest, bond, and replenish their supplies. The Pecos River region was rich in game, from bison and deer to smaller animals that provided sustenance and materials for clothing and tools. The group moved cautiously, mindful of the dangers that lurked in the wilderness. They traveled on foot, avoiding large herds of horses that could attract attention from Comanche raiders. The Delawares' knowledge of the land and their ability to move silently and efficiently through the rugged terrain gave the group a sense of security. Yet even the most experienced hunters and warriors could not account for every eventuality. Their camp was a modest affair, with a few small fires for cooking and drying meat. The mood was light as the men shared stories of past exploits and discussed their plans for the days ahead. For Hayes, the camaraderie and mentorship of the Delaware warriors were invaluable. He listened intently as they recounted their experiences, learning lessons that would serve him well in the years to come. But the tranquility of the camp was shattered when a young Delaware scout stumbled back, bloodied and frantic. His companion had been killed in a sudden ambush by a Comanche raiding party. The surviving scout reported that the Comanche were moving south with a large number of stolen horses and other plunder, likely en route to Chihuahua, Mexico. The chase begins. The Delaware warriors reacted swiftly, their grief and coalescing anger into a singular purpose: vengeance. A council was convened, and the decision to pursue the raiders was unanimous. For Hayes, the choice was stark: remain behind and risk traveling alone through hostile territory, or join the Delaware in their pursuit. His decision to stand with his companions was both a testament to his character and a pivotal moment in his development as a ranger. The pursuit was grueling. The Delaware set an unrelenting pace, covering vast distances with minimal rest. They moved with the efficiency of seasoned hunters, their senses attuned to every detail of the landscape. For Hayes, the journey was a trial by fire. Accustomed to the saddle, he struggled to keep up with the relentless, jogging pace of his companions. Blisters, dehydration, and sheer exhaustion tested his resolve. But he pressed on, unwilling to show weakness. The terrain was unforgiving. The Pecos River region was a patchwork of rocky outcroppings, arid plains, and thorny vegetation. The scorching sun by day and freezing temperatures by night added to the group's challenges. Yet the Delaware's endurance was remarkable. They drew on their deep understanding of finding the land, water sources, and edible plants, where Hayes saw only desolation. By the third night, the group reached a small freshwater spring, where they paused to regroup and plan their attack. The Delaware scouted ahead, confirming the location of the Comanche camp. The raiders, unaware of their pursuers, had settled in for the night, their horses corralled nearby. The stage was set for a decisive confrontation. The battle at dawn. The attack began with the first light of dawn. The Delaware warriors moved into position with the stealth and precision of predators, their every movement calculated to avoid detection. Hayes, though inexperienced in such tactics, followed their lead, his heart pounding with a mix of fear and anticipation. When the signal came, the Delaware unleashed a devastating volley of gunfire. The element of surprise worked to their advantage, throwing the Comanche camp into chaos. As the raiders scrambled to respond, the Delaware pressed their advantage, firing a second volley before charging into the camp. The ensuing battle was a maelstrom of violence. The Delaware fought with a ferocity born of grief and determination, wielding rifles, tomahawks, and knives with deadly precision. Hayes, though outnumbered and outmatched in experience, proved his mettle in the heat of combat. He fired his rifle with deadly accuracy and wielded his knife with a resolve that belied his youth. The Comanche, though caught off guard, fought back with their characteristic bravery and skill. Their warriors were masters of close-quarters combat, and the fight devolved into a brutal melee. The clash of steel, the crack of gunfire, and the cries of the wounded filled the air as both sides struggled for survival. When the dust settled, the Delaware and Hayes stood victorious, but the cost of their triumph was heavy. The sight of fallen comrades and the carnage of the battlefield cast a pall over their victory. The Delaware recovered their stolen horses and plundered goods, but the loss of their own warriors tempered their satisfaction. The group abandoned their hunting trip and returned to San Antonio, where their arrival was met with both admiration and unease. The story of their battle spread quickly, adding to Hayes's growing legend and reinforcing the reputation of the Delaware as fierce and reliable allies. Yet the episode also highlighted the grim realities of life on the frontier, a world where violence was often the only means of survival. The Pecos River confrontation of 1838 was a microcosm of the broader struggles that defined the Texas frontier. For the Delaware, it was a reminder of their precarious existence in a land that offered them little stability or security. Despite their contributions to the Republic of Texas, they would soon face the same fate as countless other tribes: forced relocation to Indian Territory. For Hayes, the battle was a formative experience that shaped his career as a Texas Ranger. He would go on to become one of the most celebrated figures in Texas history, known for his daring exploits and his role in shaping the Rangers into an elite force. Yet the lessons he learned from the Delaware, lessons of resilience, adaptability, and the importance of alliances, would remain with him throughout his life. The story of this unlikely alliance and their shared struggle against the Comanche serves as both a testament to the courage of those who lived on the frontier and a poignant reminder of the complex and often tragic history of the American West.